Hello everybody, my name is Arl LeGrand and I'm bringing you kind of a different video. So ever since I've been stuck inside, I've been working a lot on mapping and modding for Black Ops 3 and whatnot, and I decided that I'd make tutorials to kind of help other people out, and maybe if this is what you want to do in this time, to work on this. Because my understanding of the mod tools is relatively simple, but I feel like that's to a degree beneficial to a first-time viewer, because the more simple things are, I know from experience, the less likely you are to be driven away from them, and I'm way more skilled with the World at War mapping and modding tools. I'm much better with them, but I've just been messing around with Black Ops 3s, and I felt the need to make a tutorial and kind of explain this to people. Because there are much worse ways to spend your time. So this is what you'll get after you download the mod tools and everything, and make sure that you download I think it's called the Black Ops 3 Additional Assets Pack. It's under DLC, but it's completely free for the mod tools, and the mod tools are under the Tools section for Steam. And I'm assuming that you want to make a zombies map. That's what people use this for 95% of the time. So let's start by making just a blank, not blank, but a base zombies map. So you're going to want to hit New. And from here, you're going to want to change your template to the ZM mod level. So if you want this template to actually appear, however, you need the name of the mod to have the ZM prefix and then an underscore. If you don't do this, you'll have to do a bunch of unnecessary work, and it's also better to do this because it helps you keep organized what's multiplayer, what's zombies, and whatnot. And throughout the series, I'm going to be trying to be making almost a map along with you guys. I'll show you like advanced patch editing and stuff much later down the line, but as I go through this stuff, it'll be like we're creating a map as we go down these different tutorials. So I'm just gonna give mine the name. It can really be a code name because whatever you give to this will not matter. This is not the name that has to carry on the Steam store. Whenever you upload it to the Steam store, to the Steam workshop, whenever you upload it to the workshop, you set its name then. So I'm just gonna call this one ZM underscore, let's just give it a color, ZM underscore green. Okay, so let it create it. It will create it. After it creates it, you're going to want to load into it, but load into it on Radiant, which is our map builder. So here we are, and it looks like an absolute mess, and that's because the lighting is not baked. So if any of your windows are too far over, you won't be able to see this lightning bolt. So if you can't see it, click on this and you'll be able to find it. Now if you can't see this, you're going to want to go into View, and that's of course after checking that this isn't like too far over. You're going to go into View Toolbar, and you're going to want to click on Exposure, and that will bring this up here. So if you click on this, it'll build the lighting and make your map look much better. So let's get into controls. Let me just make this big. So to move around, simply hold your right click, and you can move your mouse around and kind of position it like that. Hold Control Shift and hold down your right click all together, and you can look up and down, and you don't have the ability to move back and forth now, but you can move up and down. Control and just Control right click gives you the ability to look up and down, and then Control Shift seems to stop you in your tracks. So let's start by explaining some of the stuff that's here. These are connected here. Each of these things are spawners, and this is the center point of the volume. Zombies spawn within the volume that they are assigned to. So this is a zombie spawner, this is a zombie spawner, this is a zombie spawner in here, and since this zombie has a barrier, you'll see here the zombie is assigned to receiver set entry A as their script string, and this one is receiver set entry A. Very simple. You make a spawn and it's set to B, and you make a barricade and it's set to B. B will go to B, or 1 or 2. You can name it whatever you want as long as they share names, I'm pretty sure. And so that's generally all you need to know right about now. Let's start by building a simple room. Now, whenever you're starting your texturing and starting simple work, this is a dog spawner. It doesn't quite work. I can Dogs will come in a later video. I'll show you how to either put them into the map or remove them. That'll come quick because, as it stands, you can't actually continue the game past around 5 or 6 because the dog spawn does not work. So, if you go to textures, you have all these different textures to work with, and some of these are tool textures, so don't use a tool texture for something that you don't mean to use it for, and most of them require a level of scripting, so don't worry about that. You're actually just going to want to start everything that you make with a calc texture. Calc texture is very simple. It's just something for you to use to kind of construct with and kind of look at on this 2D grid. Now let's talk about the 2D grid for a second. Hold down your right click to move around on the 2D grid. Hitting Control Tab shifts your view. This is the Y view. This is the X view, and this is the Z view, I believe. No, this is the Z view. That's the X view. You don't need to worry about that. All you need to know is by hitting Control Tab, it shifts you around. So right now we're looking up, down. Now we're looking to one side. This is the other side because we're working in a 3D space, of course. So moving back over here, and if you want to get this menu, I believe that the tab is the button is T. Yeah. So simply press T to bring up your texture tab. So let's start by making a simple room, and let's disregard everything else on the map right now. In fact, what I do whenever I start a map is I delete this stuff, and especially delete this box location over here. It doesn't work. We'll get into making a working box soon. And then you're going to want to delete basically everything that isn't necessary. And then you're going to want to take this map, and you can leave it here if you'd like. I like to move all this stuff down, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm not going to go and do that because that would just convolute things. But if you can move this stuff around. Now, we're going to make a simple room this time for real. And you're going to want to... You can start in the center of your map, start wherever you feel comfortable starting mapping. So we're going to start over to the side here, and we're actually going to completely disregard this base plate. You can actually delete the base plate and not have to worry about it. And you can move things down. This line indicates ground level. I believe this line indicates ground level. Yeah, because that's where the volume ends. So you always want to be in your volume. Death barriers in Black Ops 3 work like this. If you're outside of a volume and you're in zombie mode, you die. So make sure that it can be above or below the volume, just as long as, like, this will kill your player, because your player is not entirely in the volume. I believe they have to be entirely in the volume. I don't know if it's just a piece out of the volume. I'm pretty sure if you're just a limb out of the volume, you're dead. So, and that's where the Samantha laughing and you dying comes from. This is a reflection probe. We're going to move it up north here, and we're going to get into it in a different episode. For the time being, let's build a simple room. So, drag out your caulk texture for however big you'd like this floor to be. And this is once again entirely up to you, and you can begin building however you'd like. So I'm just going to build around, make a couple of rooms, make kind of an organized thing here. And one thing, if you press M, it'll bring up your models tab. And by the way, these tabs can appear literally anywhere. Like, I have a concentration of tabs over here that I just use every now and then, but I have them pulled up in this corner. So, same thing with these two browsers. So, if you look up just default will get you it. Default character, this guy is incredibly useful. Just drag him into your map, and what you use him for is you use him to gauge heights based on the player. He is roughly the same size as the player. Your view model is more set at this grid square right here. Also, on that note, make sure your snap to grid is on, and make sure, especially whenever you're starting, always use grid 8 because it is the standard size for, like, the thickness of walls and stuff. So you can use this guy to gauge the size of rooms and stuff like that. As you can see, this guy, this is not a very large room at all. This is a very small room. And these are your spawns. So if you actually move your stuff back, and obviously you can move these spawns, pressing shift and clicking anything will select it, by the way. I meant to say that aloud. But these are your spawns. I'm going to extend this back onto the spawns instead of moving it back because I actually need that space. Now this is a little bit larger. This is looking a little bit better. I'm going to go away for a second and kind of make some geometry to show you guys, and then I'll be back. So say that I want a piece of wall, or rather, say that I want this to not be rounded, but not be a square. I'd go into this view. Obviously, you'd go into whatever view, so if you were cutting from the side right here, if you were cutting from this side, or you'd go into this view. But I'm going to go into the top-down view for what I'm doing specifically right here, and I'm going to be on grid 8. I'm going to press X. Now, X will put you into cut mode. So after clicking X, if you click on a part of the grid, it will make a 1. You click on another, it'll make a 2. After I do this, I'm going to want to hit Shift-Enter, and that will leave me with both pieces. Now, I can simply select and then delete this piece. So I'm going to do that to each edge. So now you're thinking, I want stairs. I want to add elevation to my area. So first, determine their length. So I'm just going to make these stairs from across this point. This is how you make incredibly primitive stairs. I'm going to put it all the way back here, because this is the point at which the stairs go up. And I'm going to make it 1/8, and then I'm going to go into the side, because just so you know, descending by 1/8 like this, it's too steep. If I remember properly, the zombie AI, it'll confuse it. And so you're going to want to click on this, and you're going to want to do this by 4s, and you can just move this over for each one, and once you reach a certain point, you can select these, and then you want to make sure, don't be me, make sure these are lined up properly as well. Excuse me, what am I doing? I'm just doing them by 8ths. I need to move these up to where they're side by side. So this is one way. You can change the dimensions of these for this, so the stairs can be however steep you'd like them to be. Typically mine are a bit steeper than these I'm making right here, but this will work for the time being. If I at any point do anything and you think to yourself, oh, how did he do that? Leave a comment and I can answer you. That's one of my biggest problems with other people who make these types of videos. They don't really respond to comments. They just kind of let them be like, well, that person just doesn't know what's going on, I guess. So if you at any point think to yourself, how is he doing this or that? I am more than glad to answer your question and help you. So moving back over to 8 grid, I'm going to continue working on this area. So now I've gotten to this point, and I think it's finally time to explain how to texture these. So if you have your texture window open, which I imagine that you do because you have your textures, you're going to want to go and you can search, you can like usage, like, oh, I want a texture that would be used for an interior wall or an exterior wall, or you can be like, oh, I want something that's wood or something that's brick. So for the time being, I'm just going to go find. This is I don't typically use this because I don't like how it categorizes certain textures that are like just not really what anyone would ever use them for, is what they're labeled as. But this is a good way to use it starting out. So you want to texture this wall. So you could shift click it and just texture that whole thing, but say you don't want to do that. And you really shouldn't. That's kind of a tacky, almost, dare I say, like the white trashy way to do this. You're going to want to click on it, or, excuse me, do not, me directs you to do exactly what I said not to do. You're going to want to hit Control Shift, and you're going to want to select that face. So these are the texture faces. And like I said, if you don't want to do this, don't. If you're just starting, don't worry about doing this. But Calc in the game view is invisible. Here, let me show you. If you look at your function keys, if you hit F7, This is the radiant flat view. Lighting, there's no effect from lighting here. Everything is just the flat texture with nothing about it. If you hit F8, it puts you in this view, the light view. And if you hit F9, this is the game view. As you can see, there is no building here at all, and that's because you cannot actually see caulk, and you have to hit F9 again to get out of the game view. So I'm actually going to stay in, is this radiant view? And yeah, this is old radiant view. So I'm going to stay in old radiant view, and I'm going to texture this stuff. So Control Shift to click on a face, or Shift click to click on the entire thing. So we kind of made this incredibly archaic room with 2 floors, and it's actually not even too terrible of a start. But this is a good start for what I'm showing you to do. Now make sure that all of these things are inside of the map. Make sure that none of them are not inside of the map. And then obviously these are spawns for characters. They can't be clipped into anything. There we go. We have a thing going. So now you're going to want to compile your map and walk around on it and kind of look at it. Save your map, close Radiant. Do not export lighting, we'll do that here. So, mark your thing, compile, light and link, build. So now it's completed linking. It's done everything, it's completed, and it goes in this order, by the way, compile, light, link. So now that you've done these, you're going to want to untick these, tick run, and then click on build. Sound there. I have a shared file for my other map that I'm using. I know I need to move it just into my map's personal file. So that's not what your starting round music will sound like. So this has been part 1. This has been incredibly just simple mapping and building. We'll be getting into lights, dog rounds, and stuff like that in the very, very near future. I'm going to try to make these daily just so I can keep up with people. So, thank you so much for watching this. I will see you in the next tutorial.